I have a friend at work who asked me to do one on my sourdough soft pretzels. And I'm going to begin with using my basic bread dough recipe. I will leave a link down below that will take you to my sourdough bread recipe. But it's just this basic recipe that I use to make the pretzels with just a few extra little tweaks. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to point the camera down and just kind of get started on what I'm going to do from here. I never use fresh flour. I just washed my surface. I'm going to put this over here so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to pull all my dough out. There's a little bit of oil from the bowl on my dough, so it does have a little bit of that. And I'm going to just cut this in half because I don't need, it's easier to work with just a small amount at first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to where I can cut this up into about 8 equal slices. You could probably do more, like you could do 12 if you wanted smaller pretzels. I think 8 is usually a pretty good size. It might even be too big. I might have to go even smaller. Let's look if I do 12. Yeah, I think I like 12 just a little bit better. So I'm just going to fix that real quick. Now mind you, I am not going to try to do perfect pretzels, but you do kind of want them to be similar in size because they have to bake together. And you'll get them all cooked more evenly if they're more equal in size versus a bazillion different sizes. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to roll these out to a snake. And I did not do anything more to my bread dough than I would normally do. You want this texture to be a little bit more on the chewy side, kind of bagel or soft pretzel like, but you want them to be soft like bread. So we're kind of doing a little bit of both of that. And because it has that, you stretch it and it bounces back together. Can you see that? It stretches and it kind of starts to bounce back together. As you are rolling it into a snake, you want to give it a little bit of a stretch. You want there to have slight breaking with those gluten strands, but not so much that they break apart. At this point, you can take it, twist it, bring it up and through. You're putting this on parchment lined paper, and I am not the master pretzel shaper. So I haven't mastered the art of shaping pretzels. That'll work. And really, with a pretzel, you don't have to be a master pretzel shaper. You don't have to have this one's big. You don't have to have the perfect shape. I think it's kind of fun trying to create it. I wish I could. It's been so long since I've made pretzels, but I do love to make them. So I'm glad that she encouraged me to do this one. So I guess the soft pretzel was created like way back in 610 AD, and there was a monk who they called it a pretiola, as Pretiola, and they used them as little rewards for their children who would learn prayers and study hard. And so the shape of the pretzel has something to do with praying hands, and I wonder how he did that. And they are really not far off the mark of what they are today with the soft squishy bread and all that kind of stuff. Catholics took to them during Lent. They're really basic. They're just basically flour, water, salt. In this case with the sourdough, that's what the leavening is what's in the flour and the salt. I mean, with the sourdough, that is the leavening, is just flour and water, right? And it's been fermented. And so I think for their Lent, they were able to eat this because it was kosher. In Austria and Germany, they soon got wind of these, and they called them pretzels. And then, I'm not sure how Philadelphia got involved. I didn't go that far into the history. But now Philadelphia, here in America, is known for their soft pretzels. So once I get all these rolled and done, I'm only going to get 8 on this tray and then I'll stop right there. But once I get this all done, I'm going to grab one of my flour sackcloths and I'm going to get it damp, and I'm going to set it over there and let these rise for about an hour or so. I will come back when they are nice and risen, and I will show you what we're going to do next with them. So I will see you here in just a little bit. Let me just add something to this. Yeah, it takes a little bit of effort, but man, they're so yummy. And they are, in my opinion, they're kind of worth that little bit of effort, because I know, well, for one, I can eat them when they're fully soured like this. And two, I just think there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of effort into a treat. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. I'm going to get the rest of, I'm only going to do this half of the dough. I only have 4 more to go. I'll do this half of dough into pretzels, and this half I think I'm going to throw into a loaf of bread, because we just don't need that many pretzels. So I will be back in a little while. Okay, so my pretzels have had a chance to sit here and rise a little bit, and I'm going to get some water boiling real quick. So I've got about 8 cups of water right here. I've got about 1/4 cup of baking soda. I know that some recipes call for a 1/2 cup. I don't love, I mean, I like the taste of pretzels, but I don't love that much baking soda flavor in my water, or on my pretzels. Need to refill this. So as soon as this gets up to a boil, I'll put the pretzels in here, 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time. And you do about 15 seconds on each side, and I'll show you how to do that. It's really just a matter of paying very close attention. Okay, so my water is coming to a boil, and my daughter is heating up breakfast sausage, so just ignore that. So at this point, it's not quite a full rolling boil, and we really don't want it to be a full rolling boil. So at this point, we're just going to carefully pick up, and that one's she says it's going to be a blob. We're just going to put it in there, and we're going to start in our head counting 15 seconds. At 15 seconds, we're going to roll it over. And I'm trying to keep these in order because I know which one I put in first. And then I'm going to pull this out. And the reason that I have this is so that I don't get a lot of water out with it. I do have like this slotted spoon, but the water has, oops, I gotta get these out. The water has a tendency to kind of pool in there, and then I get a lot more water on my pan. So you really can use a slotted spoon or whatever. I like this. If you have one of those little basket like that they use with woks, those would be awesome. So because these sat in there a little bit long, these might have a little bit more of a metallic flavor that the baking soda gives to them. We will see. We'll hope for otherwise, but okay, so let's take that off. So at this point, we are going to let them sit for just a couple minutes. You don't want to do it long, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, just long enough for the water to dry off and absorb. Okay, so I've let these dry for a few minutes. They are a little bit tacky, and that's okay. I've got some everything bagel seasoning. You can hear my daughter's sausage frying, sorry. I have this white cheddar powder stuff. It's popcorn seasoning. We got it as a gift, with a gift. Here's some cinnamon sugar. This we would probably want to add after we're done baking it. And then here I have my pink Himalayan salt. It's a coarse grind, so it's a little bit, it's a little thicker. At this point, I have an egg. All I did was crack the egg in here and scramble it. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to lightly go over each of these with egg. You don't need a lot. You don't want the egg pooling, but you do want enough that it coats the entire pretzel so that you get that glossy browned finish that pretzels have. I've done it without the egg wash too, and it's okay. I mean, it's really the boiling in the baking soda water that gives it the pretzel flavor, but I like the finished look of the egg on it. You do not have to do it, but like if you can't have egg, you won't miss it. Sometimes it's just that extra step that you just don't want to put into it, so it's easier just to not do that step. Alright, at this point, while my egg is still wet, I'm going to take some of my pink Himalayan salt and I'm going to lightly but liberally sprinkle some of them. I'm going to leave these last two. I'm going to leave these last two to show you how I would season them. Oh, I guess if you wanted to everything bagel one, right now would be the time to everything bagel it. So I'll just do that. So these ones will just be salt. And this one I will get out, and one of them I will cinnamon and sugar, and one of them I will put the white cheddar powder on it. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees. I'm going to put it in there for about 15 minutes, and I will be back when it's done. Okay, so my timer's gone off. It's been 15 minutes. They're looking beautiful. See, I like that they have this beautiful golden brown. If you want them darker, you can put more baking soda in it. You can put up to half a cup. Like with about 8 to 10 cups of water, you want to put about a half a cup of baking soda to make it darker. I used a quarter of a cup, so we're not quite as dark, and they're hot. So these are the two that I don't have any seasoning on. This is my everything bagel. You can see that looks beautiful. I wish it wasn't so hot. And then these ones are all just salt. I just kind of wanted to show you. So on here, I just have some butter. And I just washed it so that I could use it for butter. And I'm just going to lightly coat this with a little bit of butter. And now for this one, and the reason I have them on separate is because I don't want to mix the two flavors. On this one, I'm just going to, let's see if I can show you. I'm just going to lightly sprinkle some of this cheese stuff on it. You can put it as heavy or as light as you like. We've tried it heavy and it was not yummy. And then this one is my cinnamon and sugar. And I am just going to lightly sprinkle this with cinnamon and sugar. And that's going to give you a little bit more of a dessert style. A little bit more of a dessert style. And there you have it. Okay, so that is how I make my soft pretzels with my sourdough. I do make the sourdough bread the night before, and then I will make it into pretzels the next day. I do like everything fermented, just like I do my bread, and it is the same bread recipe as I cook my bread with. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of a fork and a loaf, and I will see you next time.